Because this is something that I'm going to ask everyone to do. Everyone take a look at the front page. Get off phones, just thing. I need people to participate. So with people around you. So in your groups of 3 or whatever. So for example, Jack, Pixie, and Kareem, you can go. Miles, you can go with Abby and Angus. It doesn't matter. In 3 people, no more, no less, I would like you to do something for me. Okay, so just get ready. Let's start with personal budgets, the first page, and then when we get to the second page, get ready to talk. Okay, here's a very simple concept of budgets. Long story short, we need to make sure that the amount of money that comes in is going to be equal or greater than the amount of money going out. I'll say it one more time. The amount of money going in must be equal or greater than the amount of money going out. Otherwise, you're going to be bankrupt, right? You'll be broke. That's not a good thing. Trust. Let's talk about this particular scenario. Suppose you spend an average of $5 per day on lunch. Some of you might be, like me, like that. In fact, I always had lunch packed. But guess when I ate it as a growing boy? No, first period. Because I was hungry. I was a grown boy. Okay. Let me tell you a quick story. This is my claim to fame. Every day after school, I would come home, and being the typical Asian family that I am, my snack after school were 2 packs of instant noodles. Not the cup noodles, but the actual packs of instant noodles. But while I'm waiting for the water to boil, I'm too hungry and impatient. So what do I do while I wait for the water to boil? I put in a bagel into the toaster, right? As soon as that pops out, I throw in one of those, synthetic Kraft cheese singles, a huge slice of tomato, and I'm eating that. But while I'm eating that, guess what I do? I put in another bagel that's cut into the toaster. And after I finish that sandwich, this one pops up. Perfect timing. I make another cheese and tomato sandwich, right? And while I'm eating that, guess what I do? I pop a third one into the toaster. By the time I finish, think about the speed in which I am swallowing these sandwiches. By the time I finish 3 bagel cheese tomato sandwiches, the water finally boils.
That's 2 minutes of water.
At which point I am boiling 2 packs of instant noodle, and I devour that as well. Once that is done, the soup, lots of MSG and lots of salt, but still it's so flavorful. I would throw in a big scoop of rice in there and finish that. That is my after school snack. And then I ate dinner after in like 3 hours. Well, I ate a lot, okay? So just to prove a point, like in grade 11, I was already like 200 pounds, but mostly muscle, right? I was a lot more fit than I am right now, and everything I did, like my football coach loved me in that respect. Unfortunately, I had to quit halfway because school was more important, but that's a different story altogether. So for me, my lunch, although I packed every day, I still brought lunch every day because I ate my lunch way ahead of time. I don't know what it's like for you, but for me, with someone who essentially my parents said, don't get a job, right? For high school, focus on school if you can, because they considered school to be very important. They told me not to get the job and focus on school.
You think that's good?
Yes and no. From a immigrant family perspective, I totally understand. From a Canadian lifestyle perspective, I believe you learn a lot from holding a job as well. So there's pros and cons to both, but that's not the point of the story. So I'm gonna ask you to hold off for a second. Mine's on. Suppose you spend $5 a day on lunch at school. How much would you spend in 1 week? Very quick, 25. But from there, so maybe I should do the math, right? This is $5 times 5 days is 25. Well, you're not at school. You could eat at home, I suppose. Well, there's food in the fridge, I hope. And so you won't be buying food, you'll be just eating at home. 4 weeks, in other words, approximately a month. That's 25 a week times the extra 4, that's 100. Good. An 18-week semester. So remember, this is $100 per 4 weeks, right? Yes. So don't be fooled. This is 25 times 18, which is. Wait a minute. 450. You're right. 450. 1 year of high school. So think carefully. 1 year of high school is essentially how many semesters? So yeah, so this is 450 times 2, that's 900. And all of a sudden, throughout your 4 years of high school, assuming that's only $5 per lunch, which is not true, right? Nowadays, you spend a lot more than $5 a lunch. You go to Subway, even if you get your Toonie Tuesday kind of deals. You still have Toonie Tuesdays? Oh, I'm so sad for you. When I was in high school, there were Toonie Tuesday promotions. You go to Pizza and get a square, a decently large square slice and a small pop or a can of pop for $2.
You could get 5 slices for $10.
That's right.
Oh,
So every Tuesday, my friends and I would always be going, right? Yep. Toonie Tuesdays. Yep. And then Burger King caught on to that and they made something called Whopper Wednesdays. So you get a full Whopper for $2. Now, Whoppers are so high, they're higher calorie than that. But that's a different topic altogether. You know this is all being recorded. I gotta move on. Okay? Suppose then, consider the difference. $5 versus $7. It's that extra bag of chips or that extra large fries or whatever you want to call it. $2 extra per day. Let's take a look at how that might affect our overall spending. So again, you say it's 1 year, $900 isn't much for 1 year, but if you're not bringing in an income or your allowance is very, very, very stingy, well, what can you do? $900 is a lot of money in 1 year. Let's do this. $7 a day. Copy the same thing. $7 times 5, 35. In a 4 week period, whoo, not $100, but 140. Okay. What about 18 weeks? So 35 a week times 600. Wait. 35, 150, is that right? 240, 280, 350, 630, yes, good. And then 1 semester times 2, this comes to 1,260. Look at the difference. And over a 4 year period, that becomes 5,240, right? No, 5,040. Good. Yeah. So again, it's only $2 a day, but depending on your scope and length of time, it can add up. Okay. So the point of this lesson is, look at the bottom, financial choices we make can add up over time. And right now, all we did was change from $5 to $7. Now let's up the scale. You know how, have you ever complained to your parents about the speed of your internet and you want it to boost?
No, we're talking about internet
it's a rhetorical question, You don't have to explain. Here's another situation. Have you ever complained about the amount of data you have on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. You might have complained about a lot of different things. Say, like parents, What's the big deal? It's like a $30 plan versus a $45 plan. It's only 15, but it adds up. And it's not just that, because your parents or guardians might be juggling a lot more than just a single bill. Do you have your parents ever yelled at you to turn off the light when you leave the room? It's complete opposite. Right? I was the one being yelled at. Now I'm doing the yelling to my children, actually. But why? What's the big deal? Well, in a month's time, a single minute of extra light might be pennies. Literally, an extra 5 minutes turning on the light versus turning off can cost you like 1 cent. But how many lights are there in your house? And how long are you actually leaving it on? And how many days are you doing it? And how many months are you doing it? So it starts to add up. So financial choices we make add up over time. Yeah, and then there comes arguments for humanitarian reasons. Welcome back. Let's talk. So this is something I need your input on. Everyone, I need your input on something. When we go to the next page, so this is where you are going to be talking and arguing, don't fight with each other, but actually discuss. I would like you to look at two different, what I call budgets. By budgets, it is something where you calculate how much is coming in, how much is going out, and essentially analyzing it, using your brain to say, this is a good thing, this is a problem, whatever the case may be. Take a look at these examples. We are comparing two different students. Assume that they are both in high school. Are there any trends in Annie's spending? How would you categorize her purchases? And what modifications, if any, would you suggest Annie make her spending habits? Make to her spending habits, and why? Once you have done that, please be quick. I'm just going to give you like a quick 3 minutes, bam, 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 and then go on to the next student, 3 minutes, bam, 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 and then we will discuss. All right? So people around you, if you're a little bit shy, Caleb, Cornelia, I'm going to get you to join in some people. You've got like 1, 2, 3. Kareem, either 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, say that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, 2. 1, Jesse 2, Javon 3. Okay. Slow this up. Slow. 1, 2, 2, David 3. Angus 1, 2, and 3. 3. Chris, Ben, Alex 3, and okay, let's talk. I'm going to give you a quick 3 minutes and 3 minutes. Okay, you want to move your tables, you can. As I do this. And start talking. Bring Abby, Miles, Jesse, turn on. I need to talk. Turn around and start talking. Just assume you're losing that game. Just assume you lost that game. Wait. I actually don't have a group because after I called We'll be very quick. Any trends? What can you say about her spending habits or her spending trends? Anything? Huh? Oh, okay. So you're saying that her income is approximately equal to, how do I do approximately? Approximately equal to her spending? Okay. So how about income and expense are very simple. Okay, are very similar. Anything else? Yep. Say that. Whoa, Tia. Sorry. So someone-
And regardless of the data, she's not working, so if she's not busy, then she's spending.
Oh, so I guess you can say work hard, play hard, right? Work hard to make the money, and as soon as you're not working, you're spending it. Sure, maybe. Right? That's actually a good, an interesting observation. Okay. Anything else? So, in the back?
Every single time she makes
Okay, so I think you sort of summarize these two things. Okay, income is very similar to the expense. They're almost balanced out. She won't spend more than she earns, and also anytime they're not working, they are spending, and if they're not spending, they're working. Here, last one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like, just to disprove the work hard, play hard, they spend more money on days after this, like, for example, they get $40 for basic, and then they spend like what, $95, and then when they earn $80, they spend like what, like $22.50. Like, it's not very consistent that time.
Okay, so if you didn't think there was a trend, what might you need, Theo? What might you need to actually establish a trend if you think that it's inconsistent?
Well, yeah, because like, firstly, they're spending more, but like, they're almost spending more money than they earn, right? So I think that, I think it's more consistent that the days that they earn more money, they spend more money to reward themselves, right? So they also.
Okay. But at the same.
Yeah, the credit score, they're like spending more than they're earning, like that.
Okay, so credit is something else. We'll avoid that topic for now. But if you wanted to see if there was a pattern, we were saying there is no pattern, but if you wanted to see a pattern, what would it help? What would help?
Well, I would say maybe that they're spending more money because they're kind of rewarding themselves for not spending a lot of money when they earn a lot.
Okay, so again, that sort of supports work hard and play hard, no? So you work hard and you're rewarding yourself.
I would say,
So.
I was just trying to say that I think the work hard, play hard, I don't think that they're rewarding themselves. I think that they're rewarding themselves for the wrong reasons. They should be rewarding themselves for getting more money. They should be rewarding themselves for.
Sure. So the reason behind we don't know. What I wanted to say was if it is inconsistent, what could help is if you had more data. Okay, so there are different arguments you can make, and there's nothing wrong with either side. If you had to, how would you categorize what she spends money on? Abby? Food plus entertainment.
Where's the transportation?
Subway.
So that's food.
That's food. I thought that was a subway.
I thought Subway, is it Subway station?
Metro.
That's a good question.
It's food.
What is it?
Why don't they, I mean, they need to buy food to
They
everything.
don't get $11 in a Subway. That's transportation.
I don't know.
No,
Maybe you
that's
could-
not what I'm expecting.
Yeah. So I'm glad that people are chiming in on it. Let's assume, let's say it is the restaurant, okay, the fast food restaurant. And so most of this person's purchases are on food. And well, if you're going out with friends, there is a chance that you're going to eat with your friends too. So maybe it's mostly on food. I don't know. Yes, Lon?
I also said bills too.
Okay, bills.
That's a phone bill, then I think that they are rewarding themselves out of it, because they're losing $40 after they earn $40. You can't predict how much you're going to. So there you go,
Maybe.
that's gonna be more.
So there is a level of analysis of it. What modifications would you suggest? If you want Annie to be frugal, if you want Annie to be responsible, what might you suggest? Doesn't have to be long. There's a couple of people. Andrew? Sure, maybe you want to pack, right? Using less data. Fiona?
Prices she can get at much more. This 50 never work on the 50, always the 50, and depending on how much the expenses, just go higher or increase it.
Yeah, so maybe limit your spending, maybe give yourself a personal maximum spending a week, give yourself a limit, possibly. Ding, ding, ding. Whoa, keyword budgeting today, right? So there's a variety of reasons why we are going to move on. There's some interesting things I think we can say about the next person. Okay, so Rajiv has an interesting Budget, or not budget. An interesting, I'm gonna say bookkeeping. That's the usual buzzword that people throw around. Take a look. Are there any trends in energy spending? Very quick, very quick. The same people, Jack. Okay, so I'm gonna do that as a category, right? It's also food plus entertainment, but there seems to be a little bit more to it, right? And well, I guess video games entertainment. There's a little more to it.
Well, I would say for a trend, they buy food every single day. Look at the dates, every single day they spend on food. So for example, March 15th, sales, March 16th and March 17th and March 19th, 12th.
Right. So sometimes people are buying food because it was necessary. This person seems to be buying food every day. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. You never know, because you don't know who this person is until you've actually gotten to know them. However, basing it just on their spending habits, it seems that a lot of food is being purchased. So, yeah. Sure. How about say budget money per week max for food, right? Because that seems to be the biggest culprit. And if you want to have a sustained lifestyle, if you're like, no, I'm not changing who I am, then friggin' get an income, right? Well, yeah, you don't know. You don't know where it's coming from.
For trends, you can definitely make the assumption that they're being paid or they're getting money from a relative or someone that's charging them. That has a job and it's their
Maybe they're a trust fund baby. I don't know. I'm so funny. Anyways, yes. Oh. Sure. I'm going to put it materialistic. I'm going to also put in convenience. Okay. It's convenience. It's very much living an easier life, living a fun life, not necessarily as responsible. But again, I'm making judgments right now. I'm making big assumptions. I don't know what this person is. Maybe this person, as part of the job, travels and walks around like 10 kilometers a day, going door to door and working really hard. So they wear out their shoes often. I don't know that, right? But this is just based on their input. These examples are provided for you because you need a taste of these three different words. What you are doing right now was the basics of what we call an accountant, a bookkeeper. And as you grow older, unless you hire someone to do this, every single one of you will have to be responsible with your money. Unfortunately, not everyone knows this. They spend, and then they worry about the problem later. And then they end up on talk shows like Till Death Do Us Part. Okay? And it's a really tough place to be. Three words I am going to introduce to you: debits, credits, and balance. In short, I'm going to use my own words. Debit is expenses. In other words, money out. Money minus, money spent, you name it, debit. If you go to a convenience store, if you go to any kind of store and you want to buy, sometimes they might ask you debit or credit. Credit is, as you might imagine, a credit card, but debit is, would you like to take money straight out of your bank account? That's what it means. It's an expense.
So what should you use that like what is the example?
No, just, you know, let's say you go to Loblaws, you buy that, you know, potato wedges and wings package or whatever for like $7.99. Okay. And then you bring it to the cashier and then you're like, you don't have cash, you take out your debit card, your bank card, and you don't have a Visa card, so guaranteed it's still a debit. You put it in, you put in your 4-digit code, and then it'll take money straight out of your bank account. You have made a debit purchase. Right? So debit means money leaving your account. I can't hear you. Yeah. But again, the word debit is money leaving the account, not just cash or whatever, just money leaves the account. Okay. Credit is the opposite. It is what we would call, you can say, an income, okay, or money in, money plus, money gained, whatever you want to call it. Credit is the addition side of things. So if you go to your bank account, if you go to, let's say, td.com, you log in and you take a look at your account, there will be 3 columns. One says debit, one says credit. And you want lots of numbers under the credit column. You don't want a lot of numbers in the debit column. So then I think you can guess what's balance. Yeah. Balance in layman terms is it's the amount left in account. Mathematically speaking, as Finn was saying, it is your credit, which is a plus, minus the debit, which is how much you spent. So what's left over, let's hope that it's a positive number, not a negative number. Integers. Dun, dun, dun. Okay? You need to know how to do some integers. Right, so let's do some practice. Corbin recently started a part-time job. He lives with his parents and does not need to pay for basic living expenses. Good for him. He finished the month with less money than he started with. What? I have a job. I should be making money, not losing money. What's going on? Corbin wants to track his expenses to figure out where he is overspending. The table below shows Corbin's bank statement for August. Complete the balance column. This is so personal for me too. When I started making money as a teacher, I was still living with my parents. I was driving my car. I don't really go out a lot because my favorite pastime was sitting in front of my computer playing games. So I'm like, I should be making bank. Every month I would look at my account and I'm like, how did I only save $100? It turns out every time I went out with friends with choice food and choice beverages, I spent a lot of money. So majority of my paycheck was actually going out in money. It was actually really scary how much I spent on food. Let that not be you, but it is what it is. Let's practice. If August is a typical month for Corbin, what does he tend to spend his money on? I'm going to ask you to complete the balance column. Let's pretend Corbin actually starts with a balance of 0. And this is where you need your calculator. $0, credit of 20. How much do I have in my account? Good, you write 20. And then there's a direct deposit from my employer. Oh, that's 0, 0. Have you ever seen that before? I guess not, because you don't have, back when I was younger, when retail stores and you like face-to-face stores were still around, instead of writing $20 and 0, 0, people just did shorthand and just said $20 and 0 cents like that. So I just got into a habit of that, sorry. Here we go. Another credit of $200.90. How much money do I have? $200.90. No. Yes, my total is $220.90. And then as I took a walk, I went to the bank and withdrew. There's a debit of $40. So am I adding or subtracting? Go ahead. So yep, 180.9. And then because I use the ATM and I'm on a basic savings plan, the ATM freaking charged me $2.50 just for using the machine. And that happens, by the way. I had a friend who refused to use ATMs at all. It's like, you're taking $1.50 from me, and you didn't do anything, right? He was so angry at ATMs. And I know, but they didn't, they were there in existence. That was his argument. So 180 minus $2.50, your balance is now 178.4. Tim Hortons, you got a coffee and a donut. Now it's okay. Joe's Subs. Yep. Sorry, you're right. Yep, I think you understand now, everyone. Would you just go ahead? You're going to get into autopilot. Please remember whether it's on the left column or the right column, and you will know whether you're adding or subtracting. See if you can finish this on your own and then compare your answers with mine. Go ahead. Yes. Yeah, go for it. Right. If you have done completing the balance, I'd like you to answer some of the questions on the left on your own, and we'll come back to it. Okay. All right, I'll give everyone an opportunity to try it. Just take a minute to think about it, and then we'll discuss as a class. That's not my expertise, unfortunately. Okay, let's talk. If this is a typical month, what does he tend to spend money on? Have you done some analyses? What can you tell me, Andrew? Yeah, okay, so there are some ATM charges that are a bit of a mystery. So maybe we can save some money just from not using the ATM, huh? Those are 1, 2, 3, 4. That's already $10. You can take money straight out of the bank instead of using a machine. If you go to the teller, you can get cash out. But just because you, for example, let's say I'm with TD Bank and I use a Scotiabank ATM. Scotiabank is like, yo, you're using a different bank service. You're not even with us, so give us money for the service we provide. $2.50. But if I use, for example, a TD ATM, they're like, oh, welcome back, customer. You already have money with us. ATM usage is free. Right? So there's a lot of different ways we can avoid it. What are some, what else is there? Take a look at this. Where is this person spending all of their cash? Right? There's 40, 20, 40, and 60. That's $160. There is a mystery 160 in cash. Right? So we don't know what he's actually spending it on. He's spending it with cash. But there are a couple others, right? The cell phone bill is the biggest expense. And Does this person spend a lot of money on food? No. The only thing that this person might have splurged on is probably a single shirt from Lululemon because it's expensive. Right? How could we categorize Corbin's spending? I'm assuming this cash is probably for what? Where would you spend cash typically? Or someplace. Yeah. True. But someplace other than illicit or illegal thing. Miles, your hand up. Yeah, it's true. So maybe this cash is spent, I don't know, even in a mall. Is there a place that you would want to be comfortable having cash with?
No.
Is that easier?
Yes.
Is it easier to pay? So maybe it's food? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. What? It's true. Everything could be. They could be groceries. I don't really know. Yep. Correct. That's a really good point. Does everyone else know what she's talking about? So Pixie was talking about is if you have a customer using the card, you have to pay a company that allows that service. Like one famous company, one big company that allows Visa and debit at your retail store is Moneris. There's a lot of other companies out there that, you know, that machine that you put your card in, like that company. There's another company that provides that service. And so maybe they don't want to do that. And you're right. There are some restaurants that give you tax off. Yeah, go for it. Tax free, right? Like they give you 13% off if you pay in cash. Never know. So again, it could be cash spending, right? So it's basically lots of ATM withdrawals. Okay. Everything else doesn't seem too excessive. What was Corbin's income for August? How much did he spend? So I'll do that very quickly for you. I'm going to look at all the credits is essentially what the income is. $20, $290, $243.95, and 1 cent because the bank offers that as interest. The debit, however, is, let's see, 40, 250, 325, 1088, 20, 2.5, 40, 2.5, 60, 2.5, 16.25, 87.19, 87.4, and 10.95. I made a mistake because my debit is $2,000. 40, 0.5, 3.25, 10.88, 20, 2.5, 40, 2.5, 60, 2.5, 16.25, 87, 87, 10.95. Okay, better. You've got 3, 8, 5, and 92 cents. Good. Okay. Final question. What are some ways that Corbin could reduce his spending? If he's so worried about not saving up money, what are some easy things he can change about his lifestyle? Andrew? Okay, so let's say he needs cash for whatever reason. Let's take Finn's suggestion. Let's say he's doing something not so good, but he needs cash. What could he do instead? That's it. Huh? Okay. Reduce ATM charges by his own bank, or even, here's another one you can do. If he withdraws all the cash he needs for the month, or and keeps it somewhere safe at his own home, he only has to pay $2.50 for that one withdrawal. He could have saved himself a good $7.50 or more, depending on how many times he withdraws. Yes, sir. Okay. Sure. That, I believe, is going to be a repeating expense. It's going to happen every single month. If that's going to happen, why not, look for something that just fits his lifestyle, not just pay because the phone company is asking him to pay. Anything else? I feel like this is pretty fair. There's nothing crazy and overly excessive, except for those cash withdrawals, right? It's true. You don't know where the cash is, but you're absolutely right. You don't know. So the only thing we do know is, hey, let's do something about that withdrawal because you're losing money just because. Right? I really hope he's not a victim of people who are constantly taking money from him. Because people that take money, from my experiences, they will always take money. No, friends who always ask if they could borrow money. Oftentimes, just like spending habits, asking for money is their personal habit. They have a habit of not spending their own money. And you'd be surprised at the psychology behind some things like that. But anyways, this is the final bit. After this example, we're gone. I'm going to be very quick because we spent so much time just talking about money in general, which I'm okay with. A budget is balanced. Yeah, go for it. A budget is balanced when income equals expenses. In other words, the amount of money you make and the amount of money you spend should be equal. This is what we call in the green. If you have a surplus balance, that's basically in the green. You're making money, you're saving money. If you have a deficit balance, we call that in the red. Some people call this in the green, in the black, because if you look nowadays, it's not colored green, they use black, right? If you have money, it's in black. If you are losing money, they usually color it red. So, Addie works part-time after school and some weekends. Her budget, monthly budget for February is below. Complete the chart by calculating Addie's total income, total expense, and balance. I'll do this very quickly for you. If I added this together, this would be $602.70. If I added all this, that would be $300, $400, $500, $565. It's got to be 602. I guarantee you. 4, 5, 565. Okay, balance 602 and 70 minus 565 is equal to $37.70. What does Addie's balance tell us about her spending? Well, in the least, you can say this is surplus. Okay, so let's add to this. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Yeah, so it's a surplus. She's being frugal, she's being responsible, whatever words you want to use. Why is saving for college considered an expense if she's not really spending her money? Thoughts? This is important. You're not actually putting that money anywhere. It's not disappearing, but you still consider it an expense. Why? You're not allowed to use it. So it's as if she's pretending she doesn't have that money. Very good. So in this case, why is saving for college? She is not allowed to use this money So she considers it gone, like it was an expense. It's a really good habit to have. If you truly are disciplined, you do this for yourself. Oh, yes. So all this income that we talked about, tax is going to end up becoming an expense for you. Think about that. After all of this, there's one more expense you haven't talked about. Tax. Did you not learn from that? We talked about the brackets. How can Addie balance her budget? You're right. Well, yeah, there's no deficit, right? She's not in a deficit balance. So in this case, Addie has a surplus budget. Therefore, nothing needs to be changed unless she wants to save even more money. So the question you could ask is, what can we do to increase income? I suppose you can work more. What else could you do? Okay, this person is spending transportation $110. Sure, maybe you can, if you want more ideas of how she can make it better, maybe walk more. Okay, maybe it's not a possibility. Maybe there is a very far travel. Instead of walking more, maybe you can bike, right? Or just anything. It's not a bad investment. If transportation is costing you $110 every month, you could invest in a bike, and let's say in about 3 months, you basically paid it all back, and for the rest of the months, you're saving an extra $110, right? Spending money, clothes, cell phone, majority of this stuff are all necessities, so you can be creative. Maybe. Or maybe that's how they relax. I don't know. Some people just enjoy spending something out of their leisure. Another thing you can do is, increase income, right? You could pick up something new. You could work more hours. You could negotiate and get a higher pay per hour. There's a variety of strategies that you can use if income is the issue. Sometimes income is the issue, right? If you are spending too much money, some people try to lower the amount of money they spend. Some people simply try to increase the amount of money they earn. That was my issue. Okay, just another shameless plug into my own personal life. Being who I was, every time I noticed that I was spending too much, my ultimate goal was to reduce how much I spent. My father was very upset with that mentality, saying, why are you trying to live within that fence? Why have you not considered picking that fence and building it with a wider breadth? Why do you not have a bigger picture of things? And so there was a lesson in life that my father taught me in that way when I was younger. People only, I seem like, depending on your attitude, people usually consider only one or the other. You can do both. Okay, and that's it. Are there any questions with just the idea of bookkeeping or budgeting?